Let's begin then. Starting with the draft. And I have a nifty tool to talk about bans and picks, which I'll show in a second. Everything is fine. Nice. Okay, so Rumble ban, I assume at Ziv, though his Gnar I think is scarier, and there's other picks, but I understand the ban, it's okay. This is gonna have to fucking disappear. The TF ban is a Westor. Westor is a pretty famous TF player. Lulu LeBlanc basically banning out Lustboy Dyrus because it's a flex for TSM, and it's a pretty standard ban. And the LeBlanc ban is obviously a Bjergsen. They don't want Bjergsen on carries, on hard carries or assassins. So, and for last ban, I believe TSM bans Zed, which makes a lot of sense. Again, it's Westor. He's kind of known for TF, Zed, Fizz, so that's what he wants to. That's what you want to ban out from him. And now AHQ have the last ban, and honestly, I was expecting another ban, but the Sivir ban makes a lot of sense because Turtle plays a lot of Sivir, so it does make sense. But at the same time, you're playing red side. AHQ is playing red side, so this opens up a ton of really good picks for TSM, and we're on 5.7, so there's a ton of power picks. There's Rek'Sai, probably the best jungler right now for early game pressure, and she can build Cinder Hulk, so she's really good. Then there's they could have gone for Urgot. Urgot first pick would be pretty solid. Would kind of impede the Kalista from appearing. Would also be a flex between mid and ADC. So yeah, that would be an option as well. And they could go for the Gragas, the Sejuani, or the Hecarim here as well. The Hecarim, also a good first pick, but I think the better first pick right now on 5.7 is going to be the Urgot here. Should have been their pick. And since they didn't ban Hecarim, they could also have gone Hecarim. Sometimes buffering, okay. Let me see if I'm dropping frames. No, I'm not. Sorry about that. Okay, so they first picked Kalista. Now, this was so weird. I was watching this game, and the first pick Kalista, it's just you're asking your opponent to punish you. So thinking about the Kalista pick, what punishes this Kalista? Basically point and click CC. And AHQ still have a full roster to draft, so they can pick a lot of shit that ruins Kalista's day. So I don't think this was the best pick here. It can be countered by the Urgot. You can pick so much shit against this Kalista. On the other hand, if Team Solomid had first picked Urgot, AHQ couldn't have gone Kalista. It's a good general pick. It can be flexed. Would have been a better option. The other option for me, the second best option, would have been the Rek'Sai to take away from Mountain, because Mountain has been showing up really, really hard on Rek'Sai. He's a really good Rek'Sai player, and I think it would have been a good takeaway if you wanted to first pick it. So they see the Kalista, AHQ see the Kalista, and Rek'Sai is going to happen. It's just too good. Mountain is just too good on that champion to not get the Kalista, the Rek'Sai. And Ziv goes Maokai. Now Maokai, point and click CC, Twisted Advanced onto Kalista, has a lot of damage reduction to deal with her. The way he builds Righteous Glory into Frozen Heart, and basically if you have an attack speed debuff on the Kalista, that means she cannot hop around. And that really affects her DPS. So that's a really good way of shutting her down. So really good first rotation from AHQ here. Now I'm just waiting for them to lock it in. Working all fine in source, nice. Okay, they finally locked in. Now, second rotation, this was kind of unexpected. One of the picks I liked, the other not so much. So, waiting for them to pick. Let's fast forward a bit, maybe. I was going to use VLC, but it wasn't working for me too well for some reason. So these are the two picks they end up going. Gragas is fine. Gragas does pretty well into Rek'Sai. Has somewhat of a good early game pressure. Can be used as a disengaged jungler to protect the Kalista. The knockback is pretty useful. And then they lock in Hecarim. Now, Hecarim really, I don't know, like, it's so weird for me to see Hecarim on a team like Team Solo Mid, because you know that TSM is going to want a lane swap. It's one of their primary strategies. It's what they like to do. And when you lane swap, that means if the other team doesn't lane swap with you, this TSM win. If you're gonna have the other team lane swap as well, you'll have a 1v1 bot lane. But if the other team knows what they're doing, they're going to want to 1v2 the Hecarim. And TSM by 1v... Wait, I'm getting lost here. Okay, so TSM wants to lane swap. They want to send their Kalista top lane. And especially with the next picks that are going to show up. And when you lock in this Hecarim and you force the Hecarim to 1v2, you're basically saying that you don't want the Hecarim to scale. So, I don't know. This was really weird for me to see something like this. Sion was open. I don't know. Dyrus, obviously the Lulu was gone, but the Sion was there. Maokai was taken by Ziv. But the Hecarim is just too weird for me right here. Then AHQ locks in Urgot and Hover Thresh, but they end up going for the Nautilus. And let me fast forward a bit. Okay, there we go. There's the Nautilus. And at this point, at this stage in the game, you see 3, potentially 4 if you count the Rek'Sai, 4 champions that are good at fucking up Kalista's day. They completely wreck Kalista. Maokai is Twisted Advanced. Nautilus has his ultimate, and then he can follow it with his hook. He has a ton of CC. Urgot has the Acid Hunter if he locks it in with his E. I don't know the name of the skill. So it's a lot of targeted damage. He's very tanky. Also, Urgot very good against Hecarim because he doesn't get blown up. He's very tanky. He can use ult to gain resistances. So as an AD carry, he's not exactly an AD carry. He's an anti-carry, but fulfilling the role of marksman or AD carry, he doesn't get blown up by the Hecarim. So it's a really good pick by AHQ here, and yeah, I think they make a pretty good decision here. And then basically what happens when Team Solo Mid sees this draft is we can't put the Kalista laning against Urgot Nautilus because we're going to get wrecked. So their thought process is we're going to lane swap, we're going to send Kalista Thresh top lane, and basically leave Dyrus to die to the wolves, which is basically what they do all the time. Now, the thing about letting Dyrus go bot lane is you're going to put him in a 1v2 that is kind of problematic because they can chain CC pretty well if Nautilus hits a hook, and they can damage you really a lot. That said, the 1v1 wouldn't be too bad if he can get the 1v1 versus Maokai. But if he goes 1v1 versus Maokai, that means the Kalista needs to go bot lane versus these two guys. So it's extremely problematic. So TSM are kind of in a bad position here, because if they do the 1v1, it's good for Dyrus, but it's bad for Turtle and Lustboy. If they swap, it's good for the bot lane, but it's bad for the Hecarim. And then they lock in the Cho'Gath. I actually can use... Where is it? Is it this? Oh, no, this. Ooh. I don't know how to use this yet. Okay, so I'll do the squares then. So then they lock in the Cho'Gath, and the Cho'Gath's a pretty good blind pick. You pretty much don't have much to pick blind, so I think it's a pretty good pick by Bjergsen here. Obviously, you want to see him on carry champions, but Zed and LeBlanc are both gone. Ziggs doesn't really fit with this composition. I think Cho'Gath is just fine here and was not the problem. Whoops, with the draft. Cho'Gath is a really safe. Someone asked in chat. Cho'Gath is really safe as a blind pick. He just fits. He's kind of like an Orianna in a sense. He just fits well here, and he's a good blind pick. And Bjergsen picking something blind that then can be countered is a problem. Now AHQ is going to lock in. I fast forward, lock in the Fizz. Now the Fizz here is actually a very niche pick. You only really see Westor and Pawn occasionally pick it. He's not really meta right now after the nerfs and the changes. He's kind of weird. But come to think of it, this Fizz is actually a really good niche pick for this composition and against this composition. Because Fizz has his percentage HP abilities. So he's really good against health stackers. Now, who's going to stack health here? Obviously, the tank jungler Santorin on Gragas, and Bjergsen with his ultimate is going to naturally stack health. So Fizz ends up being a pretty good pick here versus Bjergsen's Cho'Gath. Not only that, Playful Trickster can dodge Rupture. His Urchin Strike makes him very mobile with the Playful Trickster, and he also can get really he also can really get into the backline, into the Callista with not many problems. So he can really just Playful Trickster, Urchin Strike into the Callista and do a lot of damage. And if he ults her, it's also very problematic. So it ends up being a pretty good pick here, in my opinion, obviously. And this keeps closing every time I stop using this. God damn it. So yeah, I think this pick was actually pretty good, taking into account that it's a niche pick and it doesn't always work. And the other thing I wanted to mention was Dyrus' summoners. Now, Dyrus is, at this time, Loco Doco is probably telling them... At this time, Loco Doco is probably telling the team what they're going to do in the level 1. What's the strategy, what's the lane setting, all that stuff. And I think it's a flaw that they decide not to go TP Smite on Hecarim. And the reason why is they're probably planning to do the lane swap. They don't want to get the Callista Thresh. They don't want it to lane versus the Urgot Nautilus. So they're going to send it top, which means Dyrus is going to have to deal with them, and he's not going to be able to deal with them, so he'll have to farm the jungle. Now, if he had Smite, he could take more resources from the jungle and potentially not be so behind. And you're going to see throughout the game that Smite would have been a better choice. He doesn't really get to use the Ignite. You kind of use the Ignite for kill pressure. So when you can get that 1v1, you can try to kill pre or post 6, mostly post 6. But yeah, you get what I mean. Ignite wasn't really the better choice here. Also, he has the Ignite, but who's he going to burst down on this team? Fizz is super mobile. Urgot is very tanky. The rest of the lineup is very tanky. So we're going to skip to the level 1. Yeah, Cho'Gath can silence the Fizz, but we actually see that. I think Bjergsen gets a solo kill on Westor, which is a really good pick off. I think maybe it was Westor on Cho'Gath. Yeah, it was Westor on Cho'Gath. Never mind. But yeah, like Fizz is going to fall behind in CS, but otherwise it's not going to be too bad. So level 1, honestly, pretty standard. No, pretty standard in the way that it was just like a line of scrimmage was set up. You can see here with the wards set up throughout the river. The teams don't go for an invade to put a deep ward to try to find out if there's going to be a lane swap. I think AHQ here just assume that it's going to be standard lanes because they don't want to lane swap the Hecarim. But overall, like, AHQ is fine with both because 2v2 they get to bully, 2v1 Shakarez doesn't scale. So they're in a pretty good spot here. And TSM right here looking to see if they can find where Mountain is gonna start. Nothing special. So this level 1 was really not anything out of the ordinary. It was like a solo queue kind of level 1. It didn't have much to it. It was just warding. One thing I would have liked, obviously the smite was one of them. So Dyrus could have done the Wraiths. Oh, here Albus goes to check on the Krug, smart from him. But then he sees the Kalista top lane. So he starts roaming immediately to see if he can spot Dyrus or Santorin to see where they started. And if he had checked, he could have scared Dyrus there. Not forced his flash because he doesn't have flash. So Dyrus does a camp, going back, and he's going to teleport bot lane. He didn't even heal up, which is kind of You could have waited an extra second to heal up because you're gonna be in trouble in this lane. And this is what happens when, like, if he had smite here, he could have done the first camp, backed, and then gone for Krugs while the lane, and look at the lane to see what bot lane is doing, and to see if AHQ are gonna push it in or if they're simply just waiting. And right here, Mountain comes in to see. And he spots both Santorin and Dyrus. He doesn't get to do much. Santorin actually smites. But he gets to put pressure. And he gets to steal the little minions on the red buff. So it's actually a pretty good move. Stealing those little ones is really worth it right now with the changes in Season 5. And then he goes and steals the Krugs. So basically what's happening here is by stealing these Krugs as well, if Dyrus wants to come back bot lane, he doesn't have a camp to farm. Right now, Dyrus is... where is he? Okay, he's next to Santorin. I think he gets spotted here. There are the pings. He gets spotted here, and they can tell he's doing the enemy Wraiths. AHQ can't really respond to this. And Ziv teleports to Dragon, and this is a pretty interesting strategy. Ziv can't really do much. Maokai is a pretty good 1v2er, but against Kalista Thresh, it's kind of hard. So he just teleports bot lane, and they do the early Dragon. They know, and any team that plays against TSM knows that they'll be able to control early Dragons because TSM likes to lane swap a lot. So, first Dragon for AHQ. Pretty good for them, and basically Dyrus is doing nothing. He can't do a whole lot right now. So he did take the enemy Wraiths. Pretty good decision. And now he's gonna keep farming with Santorin. So this is why I think the Ignite is kind of wasted. Also, looking at the lineup, if you can go in with Smite, with challenging Smite, and just be an annoyance and nuisance in the back line, I think it's also very worth it. Now, interestingly enough, they let Ziv here take blue. Mountain doesn't really need it. Ziv needs the XP and needs the gold. And then Ziv takes Gromp as well. Mountain is kind of ahead because he got the Dragon Gold and XP. Well, yeah, the XP. He got the little red buff minions, and then he got Krugs. So he got a lot of XP and he could give it to Ziv. And Ziv is kind of behind. It's not too problematic because Ziv is going to get an earlier power spike than Dyrus on Hecarim. But you obviously want him to get some CS so he can go back to top lane and eventually start farming, at least with saplings. So not much happening here. Santorin just looking for someone. Warding out bot lane so Dyrus doesn't get ganked and destroyed. And Dyrus right here wards and takes out the pink ward. Pretty good. He has TP in less than 20 seconds, so if anything happens, he can come back to lane. And this is an interesting pathing here. I don't know if Santorin didn't see these tunnels, but if he didn't see them, if he did see them, he has to take them down. And right here, really good play by Mountain. You see, he went... where's my software? Okay. So he was here, and he went around this way. And as I was saying, I'm not sure that Santorin saw the tunnels, but if he did, he should have removed them. I'm assuming he didn't see them. He didn't go through there. We could go back and check, but it's whatever. So he goes around and he sits here, and with his tremor sense, he can see where Dyrus is. Oh my god, this always happens. Okay, back to... And then they just basically kill him. They don't really need the Urgot. Mountain has enough damage. Albus, Support Nautilus has pretty good base damages. We can't see it? Fuck, okay. Okay. Okay, let's go back. While they're at it, let me see where Santorin goes. Okay, so Santorin doesn't... Well, Santorin does see this one. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Okay, I can. Whoa. Trippy. Okay. I think you guys can see this. Right? I think I'm enhancing. Basically right here, I cannot point with my finger, I'm retarded. I'm using my mouse to move around the map, so I can't really do drawings right now. So, as you can see right here, I think Santorin does see the tunnels, and he should have removed it. Not that it would have mattered much, because Mountain could have just done another tunnel and just got in. But he should have noticed that there were tunnels there, and he should have removed them to remove pressure from bot lane. So, oh, I forgot to say. What he does basically is Mountain goes, uses the tunnels, stays in that brush near the tier 1 turret, and basically uses Tremor Sense to sense out Dyrus and get the first blood. So I think now you guys saw it. I need to have a way of using escape and it not taking me out of a full screen. So this is what I meant. He goes through here. Santorin is doing basically nothing. He's doing camps. So he goes around. Dyrus here runs from Albus. And I assume... Yeah, I'm not sure what Dyrus is doing here. He cannot ward, so I guess he's going to stand in there to see if Albus is going to try to ward. But he has no idea that Mountain is here. So what ends up happening is he goes in, he checks, and basically then he gets caught out. He doesn't have flash, it's Hecarim, and he gets the first blooded. And this is a part of how TSM plays is, aside from that Santorin ward, there's no coverage bot lane. Look at the wards. Like AHQ has a ward. Let's see again. I can zoom in. Okay, AHQ has a ward in the river near red buff, and sure, TSM has 2 wards in near the blue buff, and they have one near mid lane, which was the one Bjergsen put probably. But you see how, especially when you're playing against Rek'Sai, who is a highly mobile champion and that can go around these wards and bypass them using her tunnels, you can see that she can go through Dragon Pit and basically not get caught out. Not only that, she also has a timer on red, so that's going to be a problem, and TSM really needed to ward more defensively here. A ward near the brush near the back of the red buff would have sufficed to help to see Rek'Sai and to avoid this from happening. So a ward near the behind the red brush would have helped a lot. Oh, I'm drawing again. Okay, let's skip. Where were we? First blood. Okay. First blood, nothing special. Again, I explained it already, so I don't need to. In mid lane, Westor is falling behind in CS. It's normal, and it really doesn't matter too much. And Mountain goes here, comes here again, and I think right here he's waiting for Dyrus' teleport. And this is very patient and very smart from him. Meanwhile, Santorin is just putting pressure top lane, but they really don't have enough kill potential on top lane. And Mountain ends up waiting, but Dyrus decides to go farm a camp, which is a good idea. And again, talking about the smite, I think the smite would have been a much better decision. Trailblazer on Gragas is okay. He doesn't really need it because his clears are pretty healthy. But he can go Trailblazer. He could go Skirmishers. Yeah, Skirmishes wouldn't be a bad option, and neither would the Stalker's Blade. Okay. So, Bjergsen... I forgot to mention this. When did this happen? Okay, so Kalista backed. On here is letting the minions die. Pretty simple stuff. You want to deny resources from your enemy, and he gets the turret. And they swap Dyrus back up with Ziv, and they send Turtle bot lane, and Lustboy is roaming. And they know AHQ just backed off. Nautilus is not around. Nautilus has been roaming, so it's only Urgot going bot lane. So Kalista can go bot lane alone, and Thresh can roam. Also, sorry if I keep doing this, but I tend to do it by mistake. I don't want to do it, but I end up doing it because I want to point to the minimap. Okay. So gold pretty even here. Not going too poorly for TSM. And Dyrus isn't that behind. He only got he died once, sure, but he is at 31 CS, which is pretty decent. And he gets to 1v1 now. So good decision to switch out back to bot lane. Obviously now Kalista Kalista Thresh can deal with Urgot Nautilus, because when they're level 6, both of them, they can do the... Well, when Kalista's level 6, they can do the trick where Kalista lantern ults and then lanterns, and they do that. But they swapped Maokai back to bot lane, and they put Urgot top lane with the Nautilus roaming. Just mid farming here. Bjergsen is actually playing this matchup pretty well. He's farming up well. I think he's going for the Abyssal first, which makes a lot of sense because you're playing against Fizz and Maokai, so that's two enemies that deal magic damage. And Westor right here comes top lane to kill Dyrus, but I think Dyrus had already seen Albus with the ward. Really good ward there, so they're not going to achieve much. Yeah, he's pinging it, and then Santorin gets the wolf buff, and then yeah, Dyrus goes back in, but he knows he can get out because he has ult. Now, right here, this is a really good decision. They know they don't see Thresh, so they can assume he's not around. And this was what I was talking about, that Maokai has a point-and-click CC that he can use, and then Rek'Sai can follow up with a knock-up and keep Wild Turtle from doing anything. So right here, he gets pushed, he gets bursted down, he flashes out. I'm not really sure about this flash, and then he burns Seal as well, because both of them had flash, so he wasn't really going to escape that as long as Mountain had flash. So a kill for Mountain again. He's really snowballing on this Kalista, on this Rek'Sai, and they're gonna push it out. Meanwhile, An and Albus get the top tier turret, and you notice how they get the two outer turrets, and TSM only got one. So that's a small gold lead that's starting to amass. And the gold lead just isn't larger because Westor falls behind in CS. And that's normal. Obviously, An is farming pretty well and is farming better than Turtle. But that's to be expected. It's Turtle after all. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, farming with Kalista can be a bit hard, and he had to switch a lot between lanes. He went top to bot, so he lost a bit of CS there when he switched, because An made him denied CS when taking the turret. Santorin got crab. Okay. So Dragon is live. They have the timer and they started off. Santorin is really far. I'm gonna zoom in. So Santorin is really far. Albus is roaming around, try to put pressure on mid lane. Dyrus is backing to try a TP, I believe. And Ziv has TP as well, so it should be fine. And this happens again. For next time, I really need to get something to so this doesn't happen again, to avoid this. Oh, and right here, that was pretty cool. The hook. And now what happens here is TSM takes way too long to react to this dragon. Basically, the only one reacting is Lustboy. He places the lantern to get vision, and he sees the dragon is really low. And right here, like, they don't have enough time to go in. Like, no one's around with smite or any capabilities. The decision here by Lustboy to... Wait, does Lustboy have red? Oh, okay, it's the Kalista. Never mind. The decision here by Lustboy to try to grab Albus is smart, because if he can stop Albus and separate him from Mountain and On, he can kill him pretty fast with Bjergsen. But obviously it ends up not working out. So right here, he ends up getting out, and right here, TSM need to back the fuck up. He gets hit, On hits the... I don't know the name of the fucking skill, but he can now Acid Hunter. Wild Turtle ults Lustboy out, and Bjergsen is caught in a really bad spot, because while the rest of TSM is backing through here, Bjergsen is stuck here. And he can flash over the wall, but he's too far. So he gets knocked up. Teleport here by Dyrus. Not going to achieve anything, honestly. I'm not sure why he TP'd here. He's just forced to use the ult defensively. And then Wild Turtle does put some good damage onto Albus, but it's not enough. And On get one kill and the second dragon. And right now is when things start to get out of control. So again, lack of vision control. Since Lustboy is roaming a lot, he doesn't get to ward the dragon area. They don't have a timer. Or if they do, they might have the timer actually because of the changes to the dragon. But even with the changes, when you hear the sound, and even with the timer, they're not warding accordingly. And not only do they let AHQ have a free second dragon, they also end up giving up a kill. Now, Dyrus is happily farming the jungle. Yeah, Santorin should have ulted immediately, and Hecarim, Dyrus, right there in that dragon fight, should have known that Bjergsen was going down. He cannot bring anything really to the team. He only has home guards and a cloth armor. And what Dyrus should have done there, in my opinion, is held off on the TP, farm top lane. You're Hecarim, you want to farm, you want to get your Trinity Force and your items, so you're really item dependent, and you want to get those items, so you really need to get the farm. So he should have stayed top lane. Basically, TSM should have accepted that Bjergsen is going to die. And then, since Ziv used TP and Dyrus wouldn't have used TP, they could then use TP advantage to create a scenario where they could get a kill or two. So that's the other thing they could have done. And if you look at the map right now, you see three wards. And this one is expiring, so they're old wards. And basically the only one that's really warding is Lustboy, but he doesn't have Sightstone because he had to go Mobies, same as Albus. But since Mountain got the early kills, he went for the early Sightstone, and helps his team a lot to create vision around Dragon and in the beginning of in the entrances of the TSM's jungle. And I believe Santorin does go for Sightstone, but he's so behind on getting this Sightstone that he cannot give enough vision for his team. Now right here, Centaur and ults. Really a poor attempt. You know Fizz has Playful Trickster. That ult is not going to work. So unfortunate, but pretty bad decision there from Centaur, honestly. And now they know that the Gragas ult is down, so they can pressure this turret. And this is what good teams do. They see you waste a cooldown, they see you do a map movement, and they react with their own. I'm not sure about this ward. I believe this ward is kind of to avoid getting it swept. If someone is going to sweep here, they won't see this one, so might be that. And Mountain has apparently had a red buff timer. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but Mountain stole blue and now stole red buff. So Santorin is not controlling his jungle at all. And this is what happens to Dyrus when he's not ahead. He just doesn't have anything, and Maokai with his base damages, can just do that. Right here, ult onto. Let's go back a bit. I'm losing the. So yeah, the Maokai damage is just superior right now, and he can 1v1 the Shakarez, which is pretty bad sign. And right here, the ult, they try to go on the Kalista, they can't. They forced him out of turret. And then Ziv flanks here. But, oh yeah, I think they get Bjerg here. Oh no, he flashes out. Really good flash here by Westor. But they forgot that Wild Turtle can just use ult. Dyrus comes in, gets wrecked. Meanwhile, Ziv died in the backline. And then On gets 2 more kills for the triple. So let's go back here for a bit to see what happens here. So Albus and On here want to force TSM out of their turret. Albus ults here. I am not sure if he needed it. And then they poke Bjergsen. They're forced to retreat. And then remember here that Dyrus was chunked from Maokai. Maokai is full HP, Dyrus is half HP, and that was from the trade. And this is what I meant when I talked about Hecarim being behind. He's so irrelevant that you just see what happens then when he comes in and just gets blown up. And right here, Ziv goes in, target focuses Bjergsen. They want to get him out of the game. Very smart from them. But Bjergsen is kind of tanky. He does have the Abyssal Scepter. He does have the ult stacks, so he's not going to fall easily. Damn, all the chatbots. And right there, that was a pretty good setup by Santorin to knock back, and then Bjergsen gets a 3-man. But Westor comes into the fight. Ults Lustboy. I think that was... Wait, was that On ulting? Let me just check. So he still has ult. Gets knocked up. Okay, he goes in and then goes in with a hook again, then goes out. Okay, so right here, you see how AHQ is fighting with 5 before because of the 1v1 between Dyrus and Ziv, and that's how he gets the flank off, is because he chunks Dyrus and then moves up. Very proactive from him. And then right here, this is what I talked about when I mentioned that Kalista really gets screwed over by point and click CC. Maokai just twisted advanced onto her, starts CCing her. The reason why he dies here is because Dyrus comes in and forces AHQ to react. But since he wasn't full HP, he just gets chunked really fast. Ziv dies, but he takes longer to die. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Ziv was already there when Dyrus came in, so he lasts for a long time. And basically, since Dyrus dies so fast, they can go back in and continue. And while Bjergsen and Lustboy are already chunked, apart from Albus, the AHQ lineup is much healthier right now. So they go on to Wild Turtle, and that was the Maokai combo plus the Rek'Sai knockup. And that's the CC chain that, as a Kalista, you can't do anything against. Flash here, and gets the Acid Hunter to get the third kill for On. And now he's 4-0. I believe this game was the game he went Ghostblade, which I'm really not sure about. I think he thought he was playing on 5.8 and wanted to go for the new Black Cleaver. I believe it was it. Oh, we did have a replay. Whatever, we've seen this already. Oh, yeah, this I forgot to mention this, actually. So Lust Boy right here, he goes in, gets pulled out. Yeah, goes in, gets pulled out. Pretty good, he avoids the fizzled. And then Turtle is here because he went to pick up Thresh. But after this, after getting CC'd here, he moves back up. Like, he autos the Krug and goes forward. And that was such a big mistake. Like, you see it right here. He autos the Krug and goes back in. And basically what this means is he's now in range for Mountain to knock him up. And that's what happens. So now he dies. And then basically it's just On flashing and getting B kill on Bjergsen. So many mechanical mishaps from Turtle there. It hasn't been his tournament at all. What more is there to say here? TSM also, 2 sweepers, should be on the 3rd by now, but Dyrus kind of needed the ward. I can understand. But they should have 3 sweepers by now. Especially because Mountain had his Sightstone before, so they really need to make sure that vision isn't there. So not much happening right now, 5k gold, and I'm going to finish with the next, I believe it's the next team fight. Again, I'm going to finish it here because MSI is almost starting, but Ziv 1v1ing Dyrus, and this is how behind Dyrus is. It's just ridiculous, right there. Westor manages to run right here. You don't see the whole of it, but Ziv just takes no damage, and he doesn't even have resistances. He only has Righteous Glory, and he takes down Dyrus. He's not going to kill him, but it's so problematic when this happens, and they get the 3rd dragon, so game is pretty much over from here, honestly. Because the only problem that AHQ have right now, I keep doing this, sorry. The only problem that AHQ have right now is that they don't have Siege. They're pretty low range. Fizz is melee. The whole team is melee. Orgot is 350 range, I think, so he's really low range. So they can't Siege. But it doesn't really matter if you can't Siege when you can just get ahead, get Baron, and finish the game, you know? So, since they're controlling vision much better inside TSM's jungle, they can simply get picks or force objectives and force TSM to react and then win the team fights because they're so ahead in gold. And right here, Mountain stole the last blue buff, so he got the timer, and Westor steals it. And basically, TSM's jungle is AHQ's now. I believe like Centaurn got like 2 buffs total this game, which is pretty embarrassing. He needs to control those buffs better, and the team needs to control the vision inside his jungle better, or else this will always happen. Yeah, 3 dragons in 17 minutes is absolutely brutal. It's a really bad sign, but this happens a lot against teams that do lane swaps, and right now, AHQ playing really aggressively. Mountain knows when this red buff is coming up, and they willingly let it go. Westor is, what the fuck? Did, lag? That was so weird. Like, what the fuck? Does Centaur know that one ult isn't going to be enough to clear the minion wave? What the fuck, dude? But yeah, as I was saying, Mountain playing really aggressively. He knows when the buffs spawn. And TSM is too scared to go on him because he's super tanky right now. They weren't here again. And they're going to get this. TSM retreats. They could have fought it, but they know that AHQ might collapse on them with 4 people because Bjergsen and Centaur are here. And Santorin does this for no reason. Westor obviously knows he can go in, and then he just dodges the Rupture with Playful Trickster, and then he dodges again. And this is kind of why he goes Moralonomicon now, is because he needs the lower CDR to be useful. And that Playful Trickster is on such a low cooldown that he just uses it 3 times in a row. Meanwhile, since Bjergsen and Santorin basically didn't get anything out of that, AHQ get another free turret. And then they go for, I think they go and steal. Oh, okay, Mountain goes and finishes red buff to get the timer. So TSM are completely out of, lost control of this match. Nothing they can do. And the game is pretty much over here. Now, what happened here was, first, the setup on the draft, I talked about it. Dyrus, not really a Hecarim player. Well, it's not that he cannot play Hecarim. It's more than with TSM's current strategy, where Dyrus gets little to no resources. They really can't play Hecarim. They can't afford to play Hecarim because Hecarim without resources is useless. Like, we're 20 minutes in and he has a fucking Phage and an Amplifying Tome. It's just... He's not going to get that Trinity Force anytime soon. And if he had gone... Agora não posso, não posso. Não posso! Sorry, guys. Fuck's sake. I lost myself. God damn it, grandmother. What was I talking about? Basically, if he had gone for challenging Smite, for TP Smite, he could be building the Cinderhulk, and he would at least be tanky, at the very least. But since he didn't go for that, and he could farm jungle camps more often, and right here Bjergsen just gets caught, and the result of Brazil-Germany gets repeated. Oh, right here, this is my favorite part. Ziv gets Twisted Advanced right off cooldown. If you look at the cooldown here, this part was pretty funny. So Ziv again 1v1ing Dyrus because Dyrus doesn't have anything. He gets it's almost up, Twisted Advanced, and he Twisted Advances into Dyrus's ultimate, and then he fails the sapling, but then I believe he flashes here. No, he Twisted Advances onto a minion and flashes. Yep, there it is. Really good. And by now the game is really over. There's not much to see here. Even with the weird item build from On, they can't really do anything. Westor can just chunk tanks. He's too mobile. He can go on Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle needs the protection he won't have. Dyrus is just a non-factor this game. He has a She now. Congrats to him. So yeah, this game was over. I want to say this game was over in draft. I feel like AHQ kind of baited, when they saw the Kalista pick, they completely baited TSM into doing those picks and just pick the composition that does well against Kalista. And then since TSM's strategy is all about 1v2ing, and it's something that they have the most success with, they're going to run something like that, and when they do, they leave Dyrus to 1v2 as Hecarim, which is a really bad decision. So, basically, Dyrus 1v2ing, doesn't have Smite, cannot farm jungle camps, he doesn't get enough resources. Maokai didn't have many resources either, but you see that with the same CS, Maokai is going to be a much bigger factor than Dyrus. Like, he takes 0 damage here, and he's almost finished with his Frozen Heart. And when Maokai finishes Frozen Heart, Wild Turtle is completely screwed because he won't be able to even auto-attack due to the attack speed reduction. So they try a brush camp here. Doesn't work. And AHQ immediately go for it. This was pretty unfortunate right here. This is the last team fight I'm going to cover because the game's pretty much over after this. They catch them out, Mountain places the ward so Ziv can TP. Dyrus is out of base. So if Dyrus wants to come here, he's in a really bad spot. Oh, sorry. Dyrus, if he wants to get into this team fight, he either backs and then TPs in and then he's too late, or he walks and he's too late. So bad position for this fight to happen for Dyrus, because he's nowhere close. And then what happens here is Santorin uses ultimate, and he knocks away Westor, but he knocks in Albus. And then basically the three tanky members are just on TSM, and On is in the back line doing all the damage, and Dyrus is in the corner looking at stuff and watching his team lose. So yeah, after this 4th dragon, 23 minutes, game's pretty much over by here, so I'm going to end it. This was the first time I've done a VOD analysis. I'm not really good at doing stuff live without a script, so I'm practicing. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you guys were able to look and to interpret what were TSM's flaws, both from draft and then from the level 1, and their lane setup, and what they could have done instead with their draft. And yeah, that's basically it. We'll just see the replay here. Not much to say. As I said, they catch them out. Ward to TP, perfect. And then Albus gets knocked in. It's so unfortunate for TSM. Sim, vou fazer upload. I'm going to upload this to YouTube as well. So they just get wombo comboed here. Nothing TSM can do. And this team fight even ends with the ultimate. That's how brutal it is. Urgot didn't even need the ultimate. So yeah, this is pretty much domination. The game is over at 25 minutes, even before, but 25 minutes it's 100% over. Dyrus got his Trinity Force, yay! It's not gonna matter now. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed this this VOD analysis. I'm going to watch MSI now and have dinner. But yeah, I'll be doing this more. I need to practice as well for Summer Split. And I have some team offers lined up and I need to work on them. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. And I'll see you guys in my next VOD analysis or on my next video on YouTube, depending on where you are watching this on. And yeah,